Well, good evening. Welcome to Bedtime Stories with me, Pastor Michelle. Today is Monday, January 11th, and let's get started with our daring woman of the day or of the night. And her name is Helen Gibson, and she was a stupendous stunt woman. So she was working as Helen was working at a boring job in a cigar factory when she went to a Wild West show. It was an evening packed with excitement and thrills, something she wanted more of in her own life. She headed to a ranch in Oklahoma to learn to ride horses and soon excelled at trick riding. Helen performed in rodeos, but then a new form of entertainment popped up: movies. Helen was hired to ride horses in westerns, earning $15 a week, which was a lot of money at that time. She became a stunt woman for the popular movie series The Hazards of Helen. When the star got sick, Helen took over as a lead and did several episodes. It continued for years with Helen doing stunts, and 69 of them. Totally fearless, she tackled each stunt the writers came up with. One of her most dangerous ones had her driving a team of horses, detaching them from the wagon, standing on their backs, catching a rope hanging from a bridge, and swinging from the horses onto a moving train. And she did it without getting hurt. But she did get a raise. Helen became known as the first professional stunt woman in Hollywood and was given her own movie series called A Daughter of Daring, and her stunts got even more daring. For one of her most famous scenes, she practiced jumping from the roof of a train station onto a train while it was standing still. But when the camera started rolling, so did the train. She jumped, landed, and rolled almost off the back of the train. Luckily, she grabbed onto an air vent at the last second. She then dangled over the edge, making the scene even more dramatic. In 1924, she joined the Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus as a trick rider. It was exciting, but not as exciting as doing movie stunts. After 3 years, she returned to Hollywood, trading her horses for motorcycles and even more incredible stunts. One of her most impressive scenes involved riding a motorcycle onto a train platform, through the open door of a boxcar, and onto a flat car, all while the train chugged down the tracks. Helen's last appearance in a movie was in 1961. When she was 69, this amazing and talented daredevil not only led an adventurous life, but blazed a trail for other fearless stunt women to make their mark in both movies and TV. Well, who knew? I don't think I would ever want to be a stunt person. I'll be honest. But that is great. So I'm not a very daring person. I don't like heights. There's a lot of things I don't like. So our Disney story tonight's from Mulan, and it's called Soup's On. Mulan stood in the kitchen, moodily stirring a pot of soup for supper. Grandmother Fa sat at the table, sorting through grains of rice. Neither of them spoke. They were both lost in thought at the recent news they had received. Mulan's father had been ordered to join the Chinese army in order to help protect the emperor from the invading Huns. Mulan was distraught, for she knew she knew that if her father joined the army and went into battle, he would surely die. "Why must my father fight?" Mulan asked. "He is but one man, and the emperor would never know the difference if he didn't join. Yet what a difference to our family it would be if he were to die." She sighed heavily. Her grandmother also sighed and continued to sort the rice silently. Then she stopped and turned to Mulan. "You are partly correct. One grain of rice, such as this one that I have in my hand, is small and insignificant." Then she held out her hand and tipped the grain into the large bowl of rice she had been sorting. "Yet together, all the grains of rice in this bowl could feed many people. The emperor needs an army of many, many people in order to defeat the invaders." Mulan shook her head miserably, afraid that if she spoke, she would cry. Her grandmother was just as unhappy as Mulan, but the older woman realized it was useless to protest against some things. She stood up and walked silently out of the kitchen. Mulan continued to stir the soup, even though it didn't need stirring. Next to the pot sat a small bowl which contained a peppery red spice. She picked up the small bowl and looked at it thoughtfully. One grain of rice is small and insignificant, and yet a tiny pinch of the spice from this little bowl could change the flavor of this whole pot of soup. Perhaps one person can make a difference if she follows her heart. Mulan dumped the whole bowl of spice into the pot and smiled. "Soup's on." That would be a very good children's moment or children's message. That, one tiny grain of rice is not going to do anything, but when you combine it with other tiny grains of rice, you get like a meal for many people. And that's the way I look at it with us. By ourselves, perhaps we're not able to do as much as we're able to do with others. That's why we need each other. We need each other to make this world a better place. That's my 2 cents. So have a good night, my friends. God bless.